And it's the beginning of the week, and so we are joined now by our regular Politics Monday duo, Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report and Tamara Keith of NPR. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Before we get to Alabama and policy and all that stuff, let's talk about Sean Spicer and his little cameo last night on the Emmys. For those people who didn't see it, he comes out and it seems like he's trying to poke fun at his first day on the job, President Trump's inauguration. He comes out and all evidence notwithstanding, he says that the president had the biggest audience ever in the entire history of the universe. And that was his declaration. And he pointed his finger at the journalist and told him, report this. Last night, during the Emmys, Stephen Colbert is wondering about the size of his audience. And out comes Sean Spicer. Let's take a look at that.
This will be the largest audience to witness an Emmys, period, both in person and around the world.
What do you make of that?
You know, this is life imitating art, imitating life, right? He was actually channeling Melissa McCarthy, who you see there, who was making fun of him in her Saturday Night Live skit. Look, this to me is a sign about where we are more broadly as a culture, which is there is no such thing as having bad publicity or notoriety. You can always cash in on it, and it's very short-lived. So the name Sean Spicer is one that most people know today. It's hard to know that it's going to be the same a year from now. So take it while you can get it. Take it to the bank. A lot of other Trump supporters, his former campaign manager, for example, got fired, then ended up as a CNN commentator, is a lobbyist now. So people trying to use their cachet while they can. Very Washington.
Tim, what do you think about this? Is this us not being able to take a joke, or is this us, as many people have argued, that we're being encouraged to chuckle at the idea that it's just fine for the press secretary to lie to the American people?
Well, this is Sean Spicer's rehabilitation tour, his image rehabilitation tour. He also went on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and then today in an interview with the New York Times said that he regretted that press conference where he came out and told reporters, report the facts that were not the facts. They were alternate facts. And that was sort of the original sin of his entire time as press secretary. He came out and said something that was verifiably untrue, and it led to further questions about whether what he said was true, whether what was said from the podium in the White House press briefing room, which has typically had some connection to reality, whether that could be trusted from this administration.
Some connection to reality. I love that. Okay, let's talk about the runoff. Next Tuesday in Alabama, very big Senate runoff race.
Right.
Roy Moore and Luther Strange. What is at stake in that particular race?
Well, these are two Republicans that are challenging each other. And what's interesting here is it is the choice between which Alabamans are going to like more, or their choice is between loving Trump more or whether they dislike Mitch McConnell more. That is what they get a choice between. Roy Moore is the outsider. He is a former state Supreme Court judge. He's been kicked off the bench twice now, but he's running as the anti-establishment, anti-Washington firebrand. Luther Strange is in a strange position, which is he's been endorsed both by Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is coming down on Saturday to campaign for him, but he also has the support of Mitch McConnell and the leadership. So really what we're looking for here is how strong is the Trump connection? Can support from Trump, the president coming down, giving outward, in this case, rally, outward support enough to overcome what voters' reticence, especially in a place like Alabama, for the establishment? Roy Moore, polling has shown him ahead, some by bigger margins, some by smaller. So Luther Strange, who is the incumbent right now, he was the interim here, replacing Jeff Sessions, starts off as the underdog. The real question for Republicans, what really is at stake, two things. One, if Roy Moore wins and comes to the United States Senate, the fear from Republican establishment, people like Mitch McConnell, is he's another rogue agent. They have very few votes that they can lose. They only have a 52-seat majority. They can't afford somebody else who goes off on his own tangent. And the second is it may encourage, if he succeeds, it may encourage other candidates to challenge sitting Republican incumbents. That's not something they want to deal with.
So Tam, the president can read these polls. He must know, even if he prefers Strange, that he might be backing the guy who ends up losing. Like, why is he willing to risk capital on this?
I haven't quite figured that out, to be perfectly honest. It's a big question. And the other thing is, President Trump is doing what Mitch McConnell wanted him to do, which is endorsing Strange and working for Strange. But the flame keepers of President Trump's agenda, the Steve Bannons, the Sean Hannitys, they've all endorsed more. And so it's this really bizarre fight for, who is the true Trump candidate, the guy who Trump endorsed or the guy that all of Trump's allies endorsed. And I don't know how this is going to turn out and what it will mean for President Trump's political capital. I mean, the interesting thing is, in this case, he's for the incumbent, whereas in some other states, he's talking about wanting to primary the incumbent Republicans.
Right. Yeah. Right. Let's talk about healthcare quickly. The GOP, it seems like, are taking one last stab at putting the dagger in the Affordable Care Act with the Graham-Cassidy bill. Why are they pushing for this?
It's about a deadline. That's usually what gets people motivated in Washington, is they look and they see we only have a certain amount of time. In this case, September 30th is the last day that Republicans can pass a health care bill with just 50 votes under this reconciliation deal. After that, they've got to get 60 votes. So this is really the time to be able to do this. Talking to folks who cover this today, there's a great deal of skepticism that this is going to happen. It's pretty clear that the folks that held out on the first version, John McCain, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Rand Paul, are not committed to this. Rand Paul has already come out publicly and said he's not for it. So still, I would not say it's impossible, but the odds are longer.
Last to you, Tam. On the Democratic side, you've seen Bernie Sanders has been pushing his Medicare for All plan. We just saw Hillary Clinton express some skepticism about that, sort of implying that it wasn't that realistic. But yet a lot of Democrats, including many who are thought of as 2020 contenders for the presidency, are signing on to this. So why are they risking capital on something that may never go anywhere?
Well, and Bernie Sanders says this bill is not going anywhere. They, I think, see this as a way to send a signal, to say that they care about health care. And they're not talking about what's practical and pragmatic. They aren't in that stage yet. It's, 2020 is a long way off.
Tamara Keith, Amy Walter, thank you both very much.
Welcome.
You're welcome.